Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this, my second channel, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with all the Flat Earth Debate pre-show and after-show goodness. Now, we're currently joined by Jose, who's just joined the Hangout, so I'll see if I can get his attention while I set up for the first live show that will go out shortly on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel. Let's see if I can raise the mic on Jose. Hello!
Hey Nathan, what's up?
Guy.
Yeah, I was checking on the Arwin show, but I don't know, boring.
Yeah,
Everybody
I've kinda
come here
tuned out.
and shit chat or whatever.
Chat's alright though.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
alright.
okay. I was chatting to people in there, debating Flat Earth. So I quite enjoyed it. People accusing me of having a religious belief, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I just see stuff and say, there's an island, and that's the end of it. And you have to say, there's an island. No, it's not really an island. It's not really there. It's blocked by Earth curve, but being loomed back around the curve at an arbitrary 7/6 of the radius of the presupposed spherical Earth, so that you can see it, even though it's not there. So it's actually a mirage. So you're not really seeing it, even though you can see it. And I'm the one accused of having a belief. I'm like, I just say Isle of Man. That's the end of my explanation. There it is.
It
I see it.
becomes an observed phenomena. Indeed, when they see the things that we just see, they say, no, it's a phenomena because you're not seeing it, you know?
Right. So you go, right, okay, here's a pencil. Is that a phenomena? No. Right, there's a tree. Is that a phenomena? No.
Yeah.
There's a boat on the water. Is that a phenomena? Maybe. You sure? It's only a couple of miles away. No, that's not a phenomena.
Such an easy concept to grasp, to understand, you know, like, no, it's not a miracle that's happening in front of your eyes. It's just it, you know, that's it, period.
Yeah, you're just seeing it. It's a concrete now, and you don't have to explain it. You just go, Isle of Man, wind turbine, boat, tree, pencil. Whereas when it gets to a certain distance, oh, well, that doesn't match what we think we should see based on a model of Earth. Oh, right, who cares? Yeah, but you must adhere to the knowledge and understanding that you're on a sphere, so we can explain that it proves you're on a sphere. Nah, I'm all right. I'll just look at it.
Yeah,
I'm a flat earther. I'm cool with that.
I call bullshit, yeah, big time. That's why I'm here in this flatter neighborhood, because I just don't understand their excuses. Like, really? I'm not seeing that. But you mean like just holographically represented in be from behind the curve as a whatever miracle bullshit? No, man.
But they just believe it. I mean, it is just a belief. Some of them will say it without realising what that actually implies. Like P. Mars, because he was saying, well, I just believe the curve is still there on Pontchartrain Bridge as I raise up. And it's like, well, look at the footage on screen right now. It's not there. It's like, yeah, but I believe it's there. So what are you talking about? You'll believe some fuzzy, crappy picture from the ground with a load of distortion in it that's zoomed out to the maximum and then slightly zoomed back again just to convince you that that's the full frame when it blatantly isn't. But when it comes to a full overhead shot from presumably a drone, nice wide angle, nice, clear, crisp, in focus, you'll ignore that because you believe there's a curve. So, all right, okay, we're just dealing with zealots.
Yeah, and then what I find very disingenuous is when they have the obstruction, when they just see the 2/3 top of the building and you don't see the bottom. It's like very clearly not seen. Then they say, oh no, it's just what it is. You're just seeing that and that's it. There's nothing going on. It's just the Earth curvature. Oh yeah? So you have to explain me with a bunch of holographic looming bullshit when we see the whole thing, but we don't have to explain anything when it's not seen, right? See?
Yeah, the looming is nonsense anyway, because they're saying, based on the geometry, side elevation excluding perspective, this is how much we should or shouldn't see in whole numbers without adjusting the size for angular size reductions at distance. But then when it doesn't match up, they say, well, the light's bending around, but it's bending around that same orthographic non-perspective view. So you're like, right, okay, so you're bending things back into the side view to make it visible in side profile. So what are we talking about? You just see it. You know, why are we doing this? This is nonsense. Oh, right, yeah, because everyone's brainwashed. I forgot. Everyone's brainwashed into automatically begging the question, assuming they're on a sphere, and when something is seen that shouldn't be seen according to the sphere, then suddenly that's a problem and it needs sciencing, because it's a phenomena.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Yesterday when I was in the doing, yeah, you caught a little bit of the P900 live stream I was doing, right?
Yeah, I did, yeah. Very, very cool
Yeah,
that you can do that at all.
yeah, it's really cool. I loved it. And then after I did like the signal kept dropping, I did like three short videos. Like the first one was the longest, like 20 minutes, and then two like 10 minutes. And then I recorded a couple stuff. I caught three things like very interesting. I haven't uploaded them. I'm gonna check it out later. I passed out yesterday, tired. First one, Ranty put up one day. I think it was the Stena Line boat. You could see the Stena Line letters, and it was reflecting underneath it. Like in the water, you see the half of the Stena Line, and then you see the boat, a small boat, going in front of the Stena Line, and you still could see the mirroring of the letters underneath that one boat. Remember that? It was like impressive.
Yeah, of course. It's like a staple.
I got the same effect yesterday. Yeah, I got a big boat with letters. The letters were reflected in the water, and then the boat was going in front, a small boat in front of the big boat, and the letters were still reflected underneath that the small boat. It was like, holy shit, I got it.
It's good. It's good that people are going out and sort of doing similar stuff because it does encourage other people. I'll tell you something interesting, Jose. I watched a review today. It just happened to be on the suggested feed, and it said something like 3000mm Nikon camera, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Let's have a look. So I watched, and halfway through the review, I realised it was for the P1000. And the guy's basically saying it's a pointless camera. Who's going to buy it? What's the use of it? Etc. 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 It's just for
Really?
peeping toms. That was his attitude. So I thought ordinarily I wouldn't leave a comment on that sort of video, but I did. I was like, it's being bought by flat earthers to show that the Earth's obviously and observably flat. You know,
Nice, yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have a bunch of replies on that, like, you, what the hell?
it's true. Flat earthers are buying the P1000. That's just a matter of fact.
Yeah, true that. So then the second one, I got it was like a crane machine, like one of those big digging machine cranes. I got it in the live stream a little bit, but it wasn't too clear. Then I start
Okay.
recording and I caught it, and I could see the yellow shape of the machine, like one of those like big elbows, and then come down like digging dirt and moving to the side and digging and moving to the side. And I located in the map, and it's just one spot that there are machines in the actual Google map. And it's like almost 9 miles away. It's 8.9 miles away. I was standing in like a 12-foot high little spot, but that's like a very flat piece of land. They're like fixing it, like I don't know what they're gonna do, but it's like they're just throwing sand or whatever. It's very, very low. Should be hidden like by a lot because of the begging the question calculator, it should be hidden big time. But I was seeing like the whole machine, and underneath the machine, it was the Mirage, and it showed the whole machine under the thing. It was really cool to look at. I'm gonna add that one in the upload.
Yeah,
Just as
definitely.
a cool
Definitely.
cool thing to look at.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're in the advantageous position that we can go out and get fit pictures, like this over the salt flats. Just glorious imagery. Hi, Eric.
Eric.
Whereas the Globers, they can't. Every time they present any image like this, the only way they're ever going to assert Earth curve is if they go to their reification fallacy, bring out the begging the question perspective hijacking proof of nothing curve calculator, and say
Yep.
that some obstruction at the horizon due to a very limited angle is actually Earth curve, ignoring all aspects of perspective. And that will get highlighted every single time they do one of these sorts of observations. Miles has tried a slightly new slant by getting a bit higher, but the same principles apply. They just get ripped apart every single time for the exact same reasons. It's like field day for us. But on the flip side of that, you, with your camera, you can go out and capture this stuff all day. The Earth's obviously flat, and you're going to get flat Earth imagery every time you go out there.
Yeah, yep.
So go, have at it. Great time to be a flat Earther.
Yes, it is. And then the last one that was impressive for me, uh, when we get the mirages, we get the floaty land effect when we see like the nose of the plane, like the tip of the land and then floating underneath it. You see like hovering the piece of land. Following me?
Yeah,
So I got that piece of land, and then the boats go from point A to point B. The point they go through is like behind that land. The big boats like to just to sit in there or unload or whatever. So when the boats start getting in behind that piece of land, you could still see the boat underneath. Oh, Eric dropped. You could see still the boat underneath the tip of the land. So it was mirroring underneath it, but I could still see the boat behind it, like the reflection. And I know that land continues more. It's just the mirage was really, really thick.
that
But
mirage is the diffraction limit. So you're seeing, you can see this effect on anything. If it's too small to see, it will eventually reach and breach the diffraction limit. I mean, Zach was talking about it in the comments. I read back through some of them yesterday. It was like the same applies in a microscope. In other words, if something's too small to see, it goes beyond the diffraction limit. Splits in two, does all that stuff. I've seen it on loads of photographs when you start studying them and looking at stuff that's tiny and in the distance, and you've got a scale close to it. I even put up a video with it, with like hay bales, and they show the effects of the diffraction limit. That's what everything does. Everything's applicable to it at any distance if it's too small to see. And we get this effect consistently, providing waves aren't breaching the midpoint of your camera. In other words, something in the near foreground is obscuring that limited angle. So, providing that's not the case, you'll see the most limited angle and the limit of diffraction, providing something doesn't block it out in the near foreground. So, that's all you're seeing. That's why you get floaty land. Because it's flat enough and clear enough, and you've got good enough visibility across either very flat water or a little bit higher up for you to see the diffraction limit of your camera at that distance given the angle of attack.
yeah. It's really cool stuff to look at. Just many people just don't understand or ignore it. The Globers, they just ignore it. They say, "Oh no, there's nothing to see. Move on."
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Right, 10 minutes and we're starting going live.
All
How
right.
are you, Eric? Oh, has he gone already?
Yeah, he dropped, I guess.
We were rude and didn't say hello.
Yeah, yesterday I woke up maybe like 10:30 p.m. Uh, and I shake and soundly put up a video up. Something about like planning the punch train, observations or whatever. And then I start watching it a little bit in the background while I was doing stuff at home. And he said like, yeah, I'm waiting for Rhetorics to join and Jose and send him an invitation to see if they join. I said, let me see the invitation. What the hell? But the video was all over like long ago. And I checked and he sent me an invite on the Discord. So, the hell? I would have joined to see, what he had to say because I was gonna say like, yeah, I'm gonna go and meet you guys and just take footage pretty much. That's what I'm gonna do.
Cool. I mean, they've got to go
Yeah,
out of
but
their
he
way to
said
actually...
he said he's gonna do it again. He's gonna do a hangout probably next week and plan out to see if they're gonna have like a scheduled times on spots they're gonna be. I want to know, I want to be part of it, knowing their schedule where they're gonna be because I want to take footage along with them. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, they've got to go out of their way to manipulate their results to make it look like curvature. Whereas, as Ranty and Anthony and you are showing, and Sandra and obviously lots of other people, we don't have to do that. We're going out of our way to show the exact locations and all this sort of stuff. We get criticised, or got criticised back in the day, for not providing GPS exact locational details. Whereas you get the Globers doing exactly that now. So it's like, oh, okay, well, oversights when it was us doing it have been corrected each and every time going forward, and things have been done better. And Ranty does his 360 with every single observation now to prove where he is. He's gone out with tape measures to measure heights of stuff. That's the lengths we're going to. Meanwhile, Globers just go back to doing every single thing they ever criticised us of doing or neglecting to do 12 months ago. You're like, all right, so if you're criticising us for not doing this, why aren't you doing it? Well, it's because they've got to go out of their way to actually manipulate their data. We don't. The truth's on our side, and that's a very privileged position to be in, even if you're under ridicule and fire the whole time.
Yeah, they were talking, one of the guys, I don't remember the name, they were gonna, I mean, in conclusion, they say, we're gonna do, and this is, I don't know, weird. I don't find it appealing. They say, we're gonna do the least amount of observations. We're gonna do, more quality and less footage, less video footage and less pictures. We're gonna do more quality. So we're gonna do less observations, better quality. I said, like, what? I want to do like a bunch of observations, in different points.
Yeah, just go back day after day after
in
day
the
and show
breach
it's
or
curved
whatever.
every day. Not selective, really carefully thought out. It's like, well, that just tells me
Exactly.
that you're going out of your way to manipulate your data, get the exact right conditions and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you shouldn't need to do that. If the truth's on your side and the Earth's always curving, then it's always curving and you'll catch it every time, without exception. It should be easy. No, that's not the case, though. You need to carefully plan. Ranty, on the other hand, can go out day after day after day after day making his point every single
Just
time.
go in there and point and shoot. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the complicated? What's so complicated? Why does it need careful planning? You know, just go out and shoot it. It's a sphere, right? No, that's why it needs careful planning, because it's not a sphere.
So if they're planning to spend 2 or 3 hours in one very spot, just shooting and shooting them to overlap images or whatever they're gonna do, to stack the images to make it more clear or whatever. No, I'm gonna spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes, take footage and keep moving along. All right, guys, I'm out, and I keep moving to the side and keep taking footage and go a little higher and go a little lower and take footage at the same spot. I don't have to stay 2 hours in one spot. I mean, unless I'm just chilling. But I got I mean, there's a lot of spots for me to look at. So that's what I'm going to do. If I meet him, I'll shoot along with them a little bit and I keep moving along. That's the whole idea. Get as more footage as possible and then compare. So they were talking about the Texas values, a little Texas value, like a long, whatever, something. And they're going to planning on going one in the one side, one in another side is like 8.5 miles long, I think. And one is going to be in the other side with like balloons, like reflective balloons or something like that. That's cool. But still, we'll see. We'll see what comes out of the whole thing.
Should be easy. You should be able to just point your camera out your window and capture Earth curve if you've got a long enough distance. Should be easy. It
That's
isn't.
it, yep.
Because it isn't there. There's no Earth curve. It's total bollocks. 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah, it's supposed to be like 2% of the moon visible today. And I woke up really early. Didn't work last night. And freaking clouds. It's like I don't even see the sun. The sun should be blasting me in my face right now. So cloudy, so thick. So no chance for me. And it's gonna be a full moon tomorrow.
Hello again, Eric. Do you have a technical issue? Not hearing anything from you.
I had to reboot.
There we go. We hear you.
You're on. You're good now.
What's up, Jose? Nathan?
Sky. Hey, Anthony.
Gringo!
Oh, ¿qué pasa, brother?
I was writing an email to a Magic Circle top 5 law firm in London, and you just get engrossed in it, and you just don't realize how fucking fast time flies. One email. What's new?
Not enough hours in the day. And Eric's got a really squeaky chair.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll
Not
put
my chair.
That is a really squeaky chair.
Get some WD-40 on that bad boy, Eric.
Yeah.
No, furniture polish, not WD-40. It makes it more squeaky.
Really?
It depends on what's squeaking. If it's plastic on plastic, was it plastic or metal?
Sounds like metal.
I think it's a combo metal on I don't know.
If it's metal on metal, WD-40. If it's plastic on plastic, you need furniture polish because it's got silicone spray in it. That's what stops it from squeaking. If it's plastic squeaking,
I think it's let's see.
WD-40 on plastics makes it worse.
Indeed.
Maybe a hammer or a saw or whatever, something like that.
Or a match.
Yeah.
Or the mute button. Just pepper the mute button. That'll solve the problem.
Yeah, I usually try. Let's see. Is it that? Let's see what happens here.
About 2 minutes and we start.
Oh.
Yeah, I learned.
Travis is the worst for the mute button. Jesus, sometimes his background noise is louder than anybody else's mic.
This keep me active because since Discord and Hangouts since the first time, I learned the mute button is the best. You know, if I'm not talking, I just mute. Why not?
Yeah, mute button's the way forward.
Hello,
Unless I
guys.
got a really good microphone, which I don't. What's up, Arwin?
Can't hear you, Owen.
You turned me down, up.
Turned you down a little bit.
How dare you?
Yeah, shut up, Riley.
Turn Arwin right down. In fact, put him on mute.
Aberration, aberration, aberration.
Well, that's good, actually. You've got less plosives for some reason, Owen. You're at the right distance.
Right, this is good. Is this good?
Further.
What?
I'm just messing with you.
Try
Maybe
next door.
I'm just loud now. All of a
Like
sudden.
60
Try next
seconds.
door, Arwin.
Try by the window, don't fall.
No, you need to be in the other room.
Well, I'm more than a hand away from my microphone.
No,
Seriously.
you're too close. Try going in the other room.
It was perfect, Owen. Just ignore him.
Yeah, that's perfect. We can't hear you now, Arwin.
No need.
You guys so mean.
Okay, and how about now?
Now you've got plosives and heavy breathing.
Yeah, I know. I'll save that for when I get angry.
Apparently, Ranty and Nathan have won an award. Are you aware?
Oh, you joking?
No.
You're just making this up.
I don't think it's an award that's any good. Let me just have a look at it. Alan B sent me a
I don't
link.
care. An award's an award. Dumb fuck of the year. I'll take it, man.
It's something to do with Simon Dan. It's a fucking hour-long video, so I don't know where it is.
Oh. Simon Dan's award.
Did you see his fucking live hangout he did?
No, I saw some message you sent me about it, though. I was like, why are you
Fucking
telling
hell,
me
he
this?
was
I don't
getting
care.
live. He was getting super chat after super chat after super chat after super chat.
Good for him. Lucky old Simon Dan. Who is it? I can't remember who I was having this conversation with recently. But if you start, maybe it was you, Anthony. If you start getting hung up on other YouTubers, you just find yourself in some spiraling depression of how much better you should be than you are, and all this kind of crap.
No, I'm not hung up about him. I'm just gobsmacked that he was getting what he was getting. It's like, how
Yeah,
many
you
dumb
think
fucks
that's
are
all
there?
legit? Serious?
Well,
That's
how
not
many
just
dumb fucks are there?
whitewashing of money?
The question is, how many dumb fucks are there? Fuck me.
But he's
Well,
obviously
we are
being
in a
sponsored.
tiny little corner of the internet, and when I first started this about three and a half years ago, there was space videos out there where someone had taken a still shot of the Earthrise, right, and basically talked about how cool it was seeing the world, and it had something like 72,000 views from some no-name YouTuber, because everybody's in that paradigm. We are in the minority. So while on the one hand it seems very fishy that Time and Dan has all these subscribers, is it beyond the realms of possibility? Well, it seems slim, but it might be genuine. Very unlikely, but might be. And if he is getting a shitload of super chats, good for him. More power to him. He's a YouTuber, so in that respect, I wish him every success. If he is getting shitloads of super chats, good. I hope I get the same in time too. And if Simon Dan can do it, everybody can do it. So good. I hope he does get more power to him as a successful YouTuber.
We're obviously being recorded. These are not the views of Nathan Oakley.
They are. He's a YouTuber. In the same way, that's not true. When it came to us slagging off Sean Hufford for all the same reasons we're going to do in probably now. I'm going to run over slightly. They're going to be a minute late. But just to get this point in, when it was Sean Hufford, I was like, go and watch his video. Watch his ads. You know, this is Sean Hufford we're talking about.
Start the show. Forget Sean Hufford. Start the show.
Chocolate, what's up?
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on social media. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Jose, Chocolate Saiyan, and Arwin, and hopefully Eric. Yeah, there he is, right on cue. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. Good morning.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
So,
Hola.
is there any evidence
Hello.
of curvature?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everyone. Any signs of
Is there any
curvature?
evidence of curvature? No, none.
Yeah, Riley?
None.
Are you in a hurry?
You're a moron if you think that there's evidence out there of curvature. If there was evidence of curvature, I would not be on this side. So if there is evidence of curvature, you guys are all failing miserably in your ability to prove your claim, because none of us would be here if it was, and you guys are being called. Where's your curve?
Riley, but didn't you see the latest SpaceX launch? Was so
No.
curved, and
The
then
one that
one of
landed
the
in the
cameras.
water?
Yeah, exactly. But I looked very carefully twice at it. It's being live streamed over and over again. But like first, yeah, you saw that curve, man, and then like the pod that was traveling in space slightly tilted, and then on one of the cameras suddenly like whoa, the Earth was suddenly perfectly flat. But on the other camera, and they switched constantly, it was still a globe. And then in another shot, yeah, they showed like a detachment of a capsule. It was very cool to look at. But if you look carefully on the left of the screen, there was this thing very overlit. And that was actually the Earth, totally concave, like really concaving around the entire shot.
Sounds very confusing.
It's real.
Yeah, it's flexible Earth.
Shape-shifting art, you know.
What's this? I'm seeing two messages, right? One from
Quantum-shaped Earth.
a message from Dank saying that today is the day that Rumpus promised to bring some sort of evidence. I think that might be tomorrow.
Not yet.
No, there's 2 days left. So he said it would be a week, and I've counted it down ever since, day by day. So 2 days to reification. We'll cover that after housekeeping.
And there's another message that says Riley's pissed off because he didn't win an award. Well done, Ranty and Nathan. What's the award?
No
Anybody
idea.
know?
Don't care. It's publicity. Thank you for the advertising.
So Delzak Hunt, can you fill us in a little bit? I'm not familiar with what you're referring to.
So any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Absolutely none. You've got to be a moron to think that anything indicates that we've got a rotating Earth. Come on, people. We're clearly not moving.
You gotta be Timmy Othman to push the celestial sphere for as an axial rotation evidence.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem to push that anymore. I haven't heard him push that for a long time, so I'm wondering has he dropped it because he realizes that it doesn't prove it.
Well, to his credit, Tim does actually appreciate good logic when it's slapping him around the face, as I've done with the affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, if P then Q, Q therefore P, if the Earth is a sphere, we will experience southern rotation of stars in the southern hemisphere. We experience rotation of the stars in the southern hemisphere, therefore the Earth is a globe. That would be a formal logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent. I pointed out to a couple of times. Hopefully he's got the message and no longer sees that as decent reasoning, which it is not.
Yeah, he actually does still push that, because the last time I had a hangout with him, he definitely brought that up. So he's definitely still on that boat.
Oh, he's still affirming the consequent. Oh, that's a formal logical fallacy. I thought Tim Osman was going to reasonable, decent logic, as opposed to fallacious reasoning. Oh well, guess I was wrong. Any signs of scientific evidence of gravity?
Signs of scientific evidence of gravity?
Yeah, I've
No.
mixed two up there, Arwin, thank you.
There are some signs that maybe, but yeah, there's no scientific evidence yet.
No,
Thank you.
no. Maybe some suggestions, yeah, but no.
Yeah,
No
but-
need for it.
Yep.
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container?
Never.
Never seen one.
You don't see that anyway, but you can't even do it theoretically, so.
Can I play a baller for a second? You're living in it.
Looking
I'd
at
just
it.
like to see a physical simulation of how that's supposed to work. like in a physics-based simulation with actual gas pressure and all that functioning. A simulator. You can do that with computers these days, with the right tools.
Yeah,
So
physical.
they
not
can
gonna happen
demonstrate
computer
how
yet.
the gravity is supposedly holding in all that air. That would be awesome to show that.
Models of
dynamic
pseudoscience. He wouldn't show or prove anything. Anyway, moving on. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Sun, what's the sun?
It's that big ball of light we all need to worship. Hail Helios!
It's not a ball, it's an apparition.
I thought it was a burning gas giant.
Nope.
I don't know. All I do know is we're going around it. And if you don't believe it, then you're a religious believer.
Idiot. No.
Yeah, we're not travelling around the sun. We are not heliocentric. The sun is not at the centre. Clearly, it moves above us, regardless of what it may be. None of us have the vaguest notion what it actually is. None of us.
Yeah. We're definitely not orbiting. How would you prove orbit if you were on their side of the argument? How are you going to prove that we're orbiting the sun? You need a third person looking orthographically to be able to prove it, right?
Yeah, you use a model.
No swearing,
You gotta
just say
prove that
autograph.
it is an
No,
object.
but
that it is a
they've thrown the word mechanics after it. So as soon as somebody says orbital mechanics, you're supposed to just believe everything they say.
Right. Bow down to somebody that's good at maths.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had
exactly.
people
You
tell me, "Have you
reify their
studied
model.
orbital
That's how you
mechanics?"
prove
And
it.
it's like,
You
no.
reify a model.
I'd like to also know where we're going. We're spinning and we're supposed to be rotating and wobbling and tilting for seasons and expanding out into infinite space thanks to a big bang. Where are we going? Why? Why are we? What's all this movement? It's retarded.
Where are we going? What are we doing? What is the meaning of
Oh,
this existence?
relative.
So, any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Don't be
I
ridiculous.
just found out the award, Nathan. It was for the most useless flat Earth channel, apparently.
For the most what, sorry?
The most useless flat Earth channel.
Useless? Oh, really?
Coming from Fireman
I
Dan.
see. Fair enough.
The irony.
Sounds like a projection award.
Just asking questions. Any evidence of that self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of that presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
None besides coloring books.
Yeah,
Wait,
colouring books.
I'll play baller. Yeah, volcanoes and lava.
No signs of a lava layer. Say it like that. Signs of lava, maybe. But
Colouring
is it
books.
a layer of it? Really?
Hey, look at the videos of volcanoes spewing lava. That stuff is so layered. I don't know. Some of the stuff that oozes in Hawaii, that looks real, but those ones that are just like a fountain,
Sounds beautiful.
nonsense.
Any evidence of a
Oh, but that's
molten iron
pressure
core?
being released. There's still pressure going on there.
I don't know. Just look at the
Yeah, but
volcanoes.
that's according to my concept about what could be causing volcanoes. Again, induction coil like heating in the middle
We're
of the
talking
rock.
about the ashy
That's-
stuff, or that lava fountain stuff that you can see, kind of that looks
No, but
weird.
listen. Look, if there were to be an induction coil like electrical field somewhere in the earth for some reason that would locally heat the rock up to melting temperature, that's going to cause pressure. And that pressure is going to cause potentially earthquakes, crack through, and yeah, the lava will spew out once it gets through. That's how it works.
That's fascinating.
Doesn't mean that it's anything more than a pocket of local heat and pressure. See?
Okay.
Just have to figure out, okay, what is actually causing this? Is there some kind of electrical activity surrounding these lava pockets? That could be the
I'd
cause.
actually like. Well, before we do that, I think it's good to look into what is it this lava actually, and who actually has accessed it, other than some scientific institution. Because as far as I'm gonna gather, none of us here have dealt with lava, have we?
I don't know how we're talking about lava. I was talking about a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth.
Sort of part of it.
Not
Ballers
really.
will say, "Yeah, lava. Oh, look, lava, tectonic plates, and all that stuff."
I mean, the bit I'm specifically interested in is the molten iron core that self-perpetuates at the centre. Hey, Jim, you're a real
Hello.
person. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we do hear you, Jim. Good to have you.
I'm not here to participate in the debate. I just have a question, if you don't mind.
If you can hang fire for 30 seconds, I'll ask one more question, then the mic's all
All right.
yours. So, any scientific or otherwise evidence of Earth radius, the R value, gentlemen?
Hell
No.
Only
Nope,
presupposedly.
I'm
Mike's
not a
all
big
yours.
fan of just so stories. That's why I say no.
Let's
Mike's
go back
all
to
yours,
Jim's
Jim.
question.
Take
Jim.
it away.
As long as you can't physically confirm there is a radius to the Earth, then you're only presupposing. Then you can only presuppose it.
Is your name Jim?
All right, Jim, you're up.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Jim, you
Hello?
have the mic. Come on, Jim.
This is for you, Nathan. You say the most persuasive evidence for flat Earth is that you see it. You can obviously and observably see it. That's flat. That's right.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? You're a bit muffled. Say it one more time.
You say that the evidence for flat Earth is the most obvious evidence is that it's obviously and observably flat. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you accept the possibility, fact to my mind, that you can be on a sphere, but if that sphere is really large and you're very small, it can appear flat?
No, because it can only be of a
Can
fixed
you accept
size.
that?
It can only be of a fixed size based on the model that you guys adhere to. I don't know if
Yeah,
you're a
let's say
baller or not.
fixed size.
Well, yeah, it is.
You deny the possibility that it may seem flat to you, although in actuality it is a sphere. How do you think
Show
about
me
it?
Earth curve, and I'll believe it's curved.
Sorry?
Someone could show me some Earth curve, then I might believe it's curving. But thus far, what we get is
So
people going.
you accept the possibility that
No, Jim.
even though it
What we
appears flat, it could be a sphere.
Jim, what we see is not evidence of a flat or cube. It's just evidence of that it's not a ball. Okay, what we see and experience is evidence that it's not what you
Yeah,
see.
that's what I'm saying.
No, it's not proof of models. We don't do models.
Geometrically straight. That's what we can easily deduce.
Talk and let talk.
So you can't just by seeing, observing that's flat, you can't logically deny that it can't be a sphere just because it appears flat. Or can you?
But why would I'm not? Why would I come?
No,
Why would I
say-
come to that? Oh, sorry,
You
my
think
bad.
that's flat,
Didn't realise
right?
you were still talking. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
No, after you.
You think that the Earth is flat?
Yes,
Right.
I've answered that.
And
Yes.
The evidence you provide to yourself for that is that you can obviously and observably see the flatness. What I'm asking is, isn't there in your mind the possibility that even though it can appear flat, it doesn't mean that it's always flat, that if you could see it from a far away perspective, it could be a ball?
Yeah, that's called an
So you're
argument
gonna
from
explain
ignorance.
how terrestrial
Oh, my bad.
refraction works?
Go ahead, Arwin.
No, sorry. It's...
I was asking you, Nathan. I don't know what terrestrial refraction even is. I want to hear your answer.
What do you want me to say? There's no logical reason to come to the conclusion that the Earth is spherical unless it's asserted by somebody that you presuppose you're on a sphere and then look out at something being obstructed at the horizon due to a limited angle. So, for me, why would I ever come to that conclusion logically? Nothing around me suggests sphericity at all, ever.
How do you come to the conclusion that it's flat then?
Say one more time.
How can you come to the conclusion that it's flat then?
You gave the answer.
He just answered. Nothing indicates it to be a sphere.
There's no any evidence whatsoever of Earth being a sphere. What we see is obvious signs of flatness. And when there is obstruction at the horizon, I might add not curvature, and obstruction at the horizon that is asserted to be Earth curvature when using a fallacious calculator, That doesn't convince me in any way, shape or form. What it does is make me want to pick apart the fallacious reasoning for asserting that we're on a sphere, when that's not logically something that I would come to the conclusion of unless it was told to me using fallacious reasoning, which it is continually.
Yeah. So I guess my question is that, do you at least accept that it's possible to be on a sphere?
No.
And
No.
Your point of view too. Why is that?
No. What? There's no. I don't seem to be getting through to you. Nothing suggests veracity. If you can name something that makes
I'm not
feel,
you
or
can prove it just by your.
Every time I get halfway through a sentence, you seem to have a supplementary question to ask me halfway through my answer.
Right.
Maybe just answer for me.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you don't need to give me permission. I'm pointing out that you're being rude, continually asking. You pause, I start answering, then you seem to have a supplementary question to answer.
Sorry.
And it seems to be that I've already answered your question 3 times. There's nothing whatsoever to suggest that we live on a bloody sphere. The only things that do suggest it use fallacious reasoning, like logical fallacy. Yeah? Affirming the consequent being one of them. So if the Earth is a sphere, then we will see southern rotation if we go to the southern hemisphere. So we're already travelling antipode to ourselves to see this phenomena that is claimed to happen below my own arse from my current position. Well, unless I have it in my mind that when I travel out that way, I'm actually travelling around that curve that I don't see, then there's no reason to logically deduce that the stars that are clearly above my bloody head are actually antipode to me from my current position. That doesn't logically follow. It only follows when someone first asserts that you assume you're on a sphere for that example. So there is no logical reason to come to the conclusion that I'm on a sphere, apart from people telling me I must.
Yeah, I'm not trying to give you suggestions to how to conclude that you're on a sphere. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just trying to understand how you think about what I said. That I don't express it clearly, I know, but can you let me try again one more time to show you what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
Like, remove yourself from the earth you're now. This is completely theoretical that I'm asking you. With your logic, is it possible to be on a shape which is a sphere, and that sphere is so large compared to you that when you're on the surface of the sphere, everything around you, it seems flat?
Yeah, that's precisely what they tell us about the heliocentric sphere.
No,
Yeah,
no one tells you that.
Let me ask it a different way, Jim. We understand your question, but let me ask it back to you. Can you accept that on the sphere of the size that they tell us, using the math that they tell us, we should see curvature consistently across the whole ball everywhere we look?
As far as I know, we see curvature.
So the answer would be no, you can't accept that.
At some point, yeah, you can't see curvature, I believe.
Punch a train.
Well, let me tell you, on the size of the Earth that they tell us we live on, it falls at the rate of 8 inches per mile squared. And we can see the effects of curvature everywhere, not just in Pontchartrain, everywhere. All of us should be able to see it every time we go somewhere. But you don't seem to understand that.
I don't think that's true.
Well, that's because you don't understand the maths.
No, I don't think so.
Have you looked at the maths?
It's fine.
I haven't looked at the maths, but I know
maybe you should go away and look at that maths. It's measurable.
No.
We can detect it. We can measure it. We should be able to do it everywhere at the rate that they tell us. And what do you know? Nobody can do it.
Because
can you? Your name is Anthony, right?
Yeah, sure. I had finished my point now, but go on. What can I do for you?
Can you entertain the thought that I was asking Nathan?
Absolutely. If we were on such a massive ball that we couldn't detect the curvature, I would agree with you. However, the maths doesn't support your position.
So you agree that if you're on a sphere, that's so large compared to you, it wouldn't appear as a sphere from your
Not so
perspective.
large compared to me. That's
Sorry?
only applicable if it's so large that the maths doesn't allow us to see the effects of curvature. But that's not the position that we live in. We live in a situation where they tell us that the mass of the sphere that we live on drops at the rate of 8 inches per mile squared. So that means that if you get a big enough building, you can get to the point where you can move back far enough and then you can no longer see that building anymore. And that's what everybody does. But when we do that, we still see the building. And you guys tell us it's because we can bend light around the curvature of the Earth. But when we look into that science, it says that light doesn't bend as much as what you guys tell us it does. And we know, so therefore we know someone's lying. So back to answer your question, we don't live on a sphere the size that you're trying to imply that we are. We live on a sphere that's significantly smaller than what you're asking. And I can appreciate your question. Yes, I can understand that if the Earth was the size of Jupiter, we wouldn't see the curvature. But we're not told that it's the size of Jupiter. We're told the size. We're told that it's the size of the Earth the way it currently is, and it is measurable. We should be able to measure it everywhere. Do you understand that? It's not the way you're presenting it to us. It's significantly smaller.
No, I don't know the specifics. I don't even know the size of the Earth, so I wouldn't get into that conversation now. I'm just trying to see how you think about these things.
I think that if the Earth was of the size that they tell us, we should be able to observe it everywhere because it's detectable, it's measurable, it's of a rate that's not as big as what you're implying that it is.
Hey, Daniel.
We should be able to see that curvature everywhere.
And we could detect it with our eyes and zoom lenses.
Correct.
But regardless of the size, what evidence is there at all to suggest that we're on a sphere of any size?
Yeah, you wouldn't like my answer because I haven't researched it as much as you guys have. But
No, I appreciate that.
I trust NASA. That's honestly my...
No, that's perfectly acceptable. That's
Right.
not going to get us jumping down your throat because you use the appropriate vernacular. So when you say trust, well, that's precisely what it is. So good for you. Trust in NASA all you like. That's your bag.
Yeah, I don't see any... Why so many people would have a reason to lie to you about that?
Fair enough. There wouldn't be. If you were put in front of a computer and told to monitor a particular set of parameters on a computer screen, and you go in and you watch those parameters on a computer screen and then go home, are you part of the deception? Well, no, of course not. You're just doing your job. If you're told to build a certain mechanical component to go up into a satellite, and you build it to the best of your ability, and then you ship it off to NASA and they show you images of what it's producing coming back to Earth, and you tap yourself on the back for a job well done. These people aren't part of the deception. Just because they've got thousands of employees doesn't mean that they've got thousands of people that they take to one side and go, just so you know, we're going to get you to make this part, but actually we're going to blast it off in a fake third scale rocket and it's going to crash into the ocean while we send photographs in inverted commas back from this particular satellite. And when it goes up into the what we call space, that's a vacuum, we'll cut to cartoons to show the audience what's actually happening, but we can't shoot for whatever reason. Well, if all that stuff makes sense to you, well, great. If you don't see any holes there, then fine. You know, great. Satellites are real and people are building stuff, and you can go and get testimony from people who say, obviously I'm not lying. And they're not. As far as they're concerned, they're making components and they're monitoring display screens and they're doing precisely what they should for the good of mankind, and the mankind that they're dealing with at NASA are going to space as far as they're concerned. So they're great because they'll give testimony that it's all true, right? Well, no, doesn't make it all true. Doesn't need masses of people at NASA to be in on it and faking everything. It needs a small handful of people, in fact. Tiny number.
Even that tiny number at the top that created the deception. Not the people who are just ignorant, as you say, and work on that model of deception. The people on the top, why do you think they would lie about such a huge part of our everyday reality?
I cannot
You're
speak to
trying to
motivation.
guide us into the speculations and philosophy
Exactly.
side of things.
I don't know. I have no
But I
idea.
think, come on, Jim, we know men lie for a ton of reasons. Come on, please, stop.
Yeah, I know that, but
Stop. Men lie every day for a ton of reasons, and you know them. So
Exactly. We can't speak to
answer your own
motive.
question.
We all we can do is pick apart the lies themselves. Hello, is it Sander? Sandy? Can you hear us? Hello? Hello, Sandy?
Yeah, no speak, no go.
I think someone's kicked him or her. Yeah, we can't speak to motivation, but what we can do is pick apart the actual information that they give us, like space being a vacuum. Well, if it was, we wouldn't be breathing, there'd be no gas pressure here on Earth, it would have all dissipated into the vacuum. So if you want to believe that we've got gas pressure and you just travel through an ever-decreasing amount of gas pressure and suddenly it turns into vacuum, and that's all good, then good, go in peace. Wonderful for you, you believe in space. But that's all it is, a belief. You're not going there, you've never checked it, you don't know it's real. You just have the word of the people who tell you it is on TV. And if that's good enough for you, fine. Good for you.
I've personally gotten to a point where I don't even like the concept of lying, or are they liars? I think they're just telling stories. I mean, is an actor lying when they play a role, or are they just acting and telling a story? And then you as a individual should try to look at things and think, is it a right or a wrong? Is this statement right or is it wrong? I just tell you a story. Am I lying? Or am I just telling you a story?
Jim, I think we need to go back to your original question when you asked, can you understand that if the Earth was massive and you were tiny, that you wouldn't see any curvature? And when I asked you back, do you realize that the maths doesn't make it massive? The maths makes it detectable and measurable, and we can see it. I'm going to reassert that position because that's where you're at. The size of the Earth that they tell us is nowhere near as big as what you seem to think it is, and it is detectable. We should be able to observe it. We should be able to measure it, and it should be in every location on Earth. All right, maybe not over mountains or whatever, but any standing water, even tidal water, we should see the effects of curvature obscuring the distance, and we don't see that. We get a little bit of atmospheric, and people like Timmy Osmond tell people that that's the curvature of the Earth, and he completely ignores the fact that it's mirrored underneath, but that doesn't make it curve of the Earth. So my question back to you is, would you not consider going back to your position and looking at the size of the Earth and looking at the rate that the Earth drops off at based on its size, and then you'll quickly realize that it's not nearly as big as what you currently seem to think it is?
No, I don't think that's true. I mean, I've heard that even from the height of a commercial flight, even that high, you can't see curvature. So I wouldn't expect to see it everywhere.
Oh, right, that's interesting.
The ground.
Hey, Zinder.
If you go onto Google...
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
If you
So
go
there's a
onto
guy
Google
called
Earth-
Soundly that thinks you can. Maybe you need to have a word with him, and Neil deGrasse Tyson agree that you shouldn't be able to see it ever. But people like Soundly think you can see it from the ground, and mathematically, you should be able to see it from the ground.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you go on Google Earth and you go take your elevation up to the height of a commercial jet, about 35,000 feet, you can clearly see the curvature of the Earth on your Google Earth, and that's consistent with the size of the Earth that they tell us we live on. So, which one is it? Is it that it's that small that we should see it on Google Earth, or is it that big, according to you, that we should never see the curvature? Because either way, one of them's wrong.
So do you guys think that you could see curvature if the Earth was a sphere, that you could see it from the ground?
Yes. Yes, you could see it from the ground. You could go up to a hill that gave you a 360 panorama. You could level your transit with a spirit level, twist your camera through 90 degrees and see curve. If you are seeing the leading edge of that curve blocking your view of things in the distance, i.e. the horizon's not really an arbitrary point where it appears through perspective that the ground meets the sky, actually that lip, this lip here, that's actually the leading edge of the Earth curve that's blocking your view. Now if you want to believe that's the case, that perspective isn't real and what you're seeing is the leading edge of an Earth curve, then it should drop away from the ground. You should see it curve. That would be if it was curving, which it's not.
I guess that's where we disagree, because in my mind, I can't figure it how geometrically you could see a ball curving unless you are so large to, I don't know, unless you're as large as the ball.
What? No, that's miles wrong. That's miles wrong.
Hold
When
on,
you look
hold
out
on.
to the
So,
horizon.
hold on. So you're saying unless you can get up to space and see it as a ball, you can't perceive ever being able to see it as a ball. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, yeah, that's
Right. When are you going to get to do that?
I'm not ever gonna get to do
So
it.
basically, you're never going to get to do this thing. You're never going to get
No.
to see it. You're told it's real. You accept that you're never going to get to experience it, but you wonder why we're a bit puzzled at that.
I can accept that there are things that are true that you can't observe for yourself. Yeah, you have to trust others, and it's not just the fact that someone can go to the space and see Earth and see that it's a sphere.
But that's just not true.
Yeah, we should
But
see
like
it from the
what?
ground.
Like
we just told you
aside
that.
from the ball, like what else do we have to trust other men on? Such as what? I'd like to hear that actually.
What do you mean?
Well, you just said that there's things that we can't see, and we just need to trust the words of men, other men. So other than the spinning ball, what else would you say that applies to? Just roughly off the top of your head.
Speaking generally, like there are many things in science that you can't understand unless you study them for years and years. So when a scientist tell you something and a lot of other scientists tell you the same thing, there's a point that you kind of have to trust them because you don't know.
Right. Especially theoretical science, right? Not natural sciences, right?
No,
No.
I don't know.
Well, just name a few other things that you're talking about here.
I think it's like what Eric was saying before. Some of these people aren't scientists; they're actors.
AP.
Hi.
I'd like to hear a couple other things other than the ball. What are some other things we need to just trust other men about?
You could say that for every part of science, like they tell you that cancer is something that grows inside you and slowly kills you. You know that because you see people dying, but you can't understand exactly how it works unless you study it for years. That's what I'm.
Like what?
Can I ask?
If a doctor tells me I have cancer, I just accept it.
Jim, let me ask you a question. You said that if the Earth was so big, could you conceptualize that you'd never be able to see the curve of the Earth? And then I pointed out that if the Earth wasn't as big as what you seem to think it is, then you should be able to see the curve of the Earth. Given that your position seems to be that the Earth's so big that you shouldn't really be able to see the curve of the Earth, what's your position with regards to like Pontchartrain and Soundly?
Yeah, I don't know these guys and what they talk about. So I don't know how to answer that.
You don't know about Soundly?
No, I don't. I watch your show, guys, for quite a while now, but I'm not really interested to.
I'm going to call you a liar.
No, don't call him a liar.
No,
if he doesn't, that's perfectly acceptable. If he
Well,
doesn't watch Soundly.
I've heard the name Soundly, and the fact that you have beef with him, but I haven't got into it. Really.
No need.
No, I'm
Anthony.
going to call you a liar.
No
I'm going to call
need.
you a liar on the basis that most people are aware of Soundly, but even if you're not, the point is that Soundly shows over a distance of just 16 to 17 miles that the Earth's curved like a basketball. Now, that evidence is the opposing position to what you're stating now. And if you claim not to be aware of that, I'm going to say that you're only claiming that because you realize it contradicts the position that you currently keep, which is that you should never see the curvature of the Earth because it's so big. Because you can't have both. You can't have both. You can't acknowledge Soundly's work and state your position because they're opposing.
Yeah, I haven't seen Soundly's work. So does it say that you can see curvature from the surface of the Earth?
Right, so just to give you a brief synopsis, what he's basically doing is saying, here's the mathematics, this is what we should see, here it is on screen, I can see it. So where you say, no, it's too big, we shouldn't see it, well, there's people out there saying, oh, I can see the curve of the Earth, look, it matches the maths that says we should be able to see it.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I don't really know.
Well, no, it's not. You know, on the one hand, you've got Neil deGrasse Tyson claiming you should never see it ever, and even pointing out that, you know, the ISS uses fisheye lenses. But then you've got people like Soundly that claim you can get it from the ground, and the mathematics for the sphere would dictate that you can get it from the ground. Like, from the ground, not like rising up at all.
Nathan, this is the part where we would bring PMars into it, and we could get PMars to explain to Jim Beam how he's wrong. PMars,
Isn't
there?
PMars the globe head?
Oh, so you know PMars, but you don't know Soundly.
He's on the panel, he watches the show, he's a fan. He's a Nathan Oakley, not a Soundly fan. It's all good.
You and Nathan are wrong about that.
We and Nathan are wrong about what's that?
Well, if you say you're saying Soundly's picture debunks what we would expect to see on a globe?
No. We're saying that Jim Beam appears to have the view that if the Earth was so big that we couldn't detect the curvature, he seems to be of the opinion that the Earth is that big. But we have evidence to the contrary of that. We have evidence of Lake Pontchartrain that indicates that the Earth's much smaller than that, and we should all see it. And you're on the panel, you support Soundly. Would you just talk to Jim Beam and tell him that his perception of the size of the Earth must clearly be wrong?
Well, I mean, it's hard to perceive the curve with the naked eye. The reason why Soundly can see it so well is because he takes a P900 and he zooms in on the horizon. That's why he can see it. If you zoom back on Soundly's photo, it doesn't look very curved.
Sure, but that's not the point. The point is that you can see the curvature of the Earth, even though it's as big as what he believes it is. We can see it from the surface of the Earth.
But not really with your eyeball. Soundly's zooming in on it with a camera.
But
so
he claims to see the curve of the Earth
see.
from the beach. He does claim to see the curve of the Earth from the beach, though, right?
Yeah, but with your eye, just your eyeball, without anything to measure
we concede
it,
that,
it's harder to see it.
We concede. Yes, no one's suggesting that this should be visible with the naked eye.
Sorry, Nathan, you said Tyson says that you cannot ever see the curvature.
Correct.
That's true.
That's correct.
Damn, P. That's true, P. Why you say curve can be seen, and Neil deGrasse Tyson say you cannot?
They gives it as an example with a scale not dissimilar to a bowling ball or a beach ball.
But you can't see it with your eye. That's the thing. So
but you can see it.
There's no discrepancy.
Yeah, but we have optical, electronics
you can
that help us see it.
Yeah, but hang on. The point is that you can see it from being on the Earth's surface. That's the point. Not that it's so big that you can't see it, which is the opposing position. So, PMars, do you want to correct Jim Beam? We can, apparently.
With your naked eye, you can't really
Nobody's saying with the naked eye.
You can measure it.
Right. So we
should
be able to see
zoom in
curvature.
on it with the P900.
Fine. So let's get a summary. You should be able to see curvature. The math says you should be able to see curvature. Soundly claims to have caught curvature. So as far as it's concerned, the model says, and it's claimed, that you can see curvature from ground level. The problem being that Soundly's images are a blurred mess of horizon mess, and we've got distances up to 80 miles where it's flat as a pancake. So that's a bit of a contradiction, especially when he needs to take great time, care and effort to actually capture these images, whereas people like Ranty can go out day after day after day after day and capture it being flat.
There's no contradiction, though, because when you see things 80 miles away, they're obstructed by the curve, so there's no contradiction.
Well, that's a presupposition, isn't it? Obstructed by curve. So we're not seeing curve.
You're just presupposing. You're begging the question that it's flat.
So we're talking about curve, stuff that...
You're begging the question.
Now you're interrupting again. So we're talking about curve, stuff that curves. Now you're talking about obstruction that will be extrapolated from a begging the question perspective hijacking proof of nothing curve calculator that says obstruction at the horizon is curvature. It isn't curving. We're not observing anything curving. So let's not talk about obstruction at the horizon that has other explanations for it when you include the very obvious and real nature of perspective, P. That's a different subject. We're talking about seeing a curve, something that curves.
Yeah, we're both talking about the same thing, but I don't know what's wrong with your brain.
All right, we're not. You're talking about an obstruction that is claimed to be curvature. I'm talking about curvature, something that curves. The Earth, which doesn't.
You're claiming the obstruction is flat. That's ridiculous.
No, an obstruction isn't anything, but you're claiming it's curved. I'm claiming there are other explanations for it. You're claiming that I presuppose it's Earth curve getting in the way. Not Earth curving, but Earth curve causing an obstruction at the horizon when you ignore perspective.
Perspective doesn't account for that. That's ridiculous.
Sorry, we're not talking about perspective not accounting for it. We're talking about you ignoring it in your model, which you will use to assert that obstruction at the horizon is being caused. So there's a causal relationship, something that science deals with, not pseudoscience models. But you will assert that that is curvature based on a fallacious, begging the question, perspective hijacking, proof of nothing curve calculator.
Not so begging the question.
We're not talking about
fallacious.
That. We're talking about curve. Things that curve, a curve, and how much of it you should see. And you should see it at the ground. So Soundly's not talking about obstruction. He's showing a bridge curving, isn't he, P?
Yeah.
Right, so we're not talking about obstruction at the horizon using a begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator to assert that an obstruction is Earth curve when it's not curving. That's not what we're talking about. Nor are we talking about seeing stuff with the naked eye when obviously we're all using P1000s and P900s to capture this stuff. Right? So let's stop with the straw man already.
What are you talking? Dude, that's nonsense.
Excellent rebuttal. So moving on, we should see curvature at the ground level. We don't.
But we do.
Where's your example of this?
Mars, do you think you can see curvature from ground level?
Of course.
You mean in a very tiny slight amount that it doesn't even matter. It still seems flat, even though you could say it's curving a little bit.
Yeah, it's not. It's a very tiny amount. Yeah, but you can measure it like with a theodolite.
No, well, geodetic surveyors don't take into account curvature within 100 miles squared. So you don't know what you're talking about, Pete.
I do know what I'm talking about. Geodetic surveyors measure the curve of the Earth. You idiot.
You're just a troll.
What do you think a geodetic surveyor is? Don't be a moron.
They're another perspective ignoring group of people, aren't they?
No one ignores perspective, Nathan. You are ignoring all the evidence that the Earth is a sphere, and then you're claiming other people are denying and ignoring perspective. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we had a geodetic surveyor, acclaimed geodetic surveyor, come on the panel, Pete, and we grilled him because he said, "You will see what this theodolite gives you," and then he draws a picture of it in CAD from a side elevation, ignoring perspective. And I pointed that out to him. His exact words, "Well, we'll come back to that later," was what he said to me. And then when he didn't, I absolutely tore him a new asshole, Pete. It was really funny.
Yeah, I mean, you are an asshole, Nathan. So
yeah, I am.
The only reason
if you've got a religious belief in a globe, I am. People's worst nightmare of an asshole. Yeah, I am. When you have a religious belief,
250 watching.
I'm a real asshole.
Yeah, but they don't watch for information. Like no one's here to learn anything. They just watch you because they want to see you freak out on people.
Oh, really?
And get angry, like some sort of Jerry Springer freak show. That's all you are.
That's really interesting.
The only one who's freaking out is you, Pete.
If you don't mind me,
Pete, let's just see how much you paid attention. What did I just say about the geodetic survey that came on and the information that you provided? Let's see if you can acknowledge anything I've just said as opposed to accusing me of being Jerry Springer. What did I say about him and the information he gave us?
I watched Ken L's podcast, and she said,
so let's just shut P up. He came on and claimed to be a geodetic surveyor and put the view into an orthographic perspective hijacking representation. And when I pointed that out to him, he said he would come back to it later and didn't. So then I ripped him a new asshole for his perspective omission. Okay, P, let's not talk about Ken L. Let's talk about the geodetic survey that you think is measuring Earth curve that we had on the show. And we pointed out that he excludes perspective, something that you've shouted down the mic, got very close to tell us wasn't the case when you got very triggered.
Can I give you some feedback, Nathan?
I'm not upset.
Vimar said.
Yeah, let Jim engage with P for a second.
I also watched the show just for that aspect, the aspect of entertainment, you yelling at people. Like, for some reason, I really enjoy that. And also, I enjoy Arwin's conversation with Anthony regarding gravity. I also really like that.
Yeah, that was ace.
The other question I wanted to ask you is, in your mind, do you see the possibility that you might be wrong? Or you're 100% certain that it's flat?
Who's that directed to? Me? I'm 100% certain it's flat.
You're 100% sure?
Yes. It's obviously and observably flat. There is no evidence of sphericity. There is no evidence of curvature. So failing any evidence whatsoever of us being on a curved surface, it's flat. So, yeah.
But isn't your mindset that you should question everything? How can you be 100% certain about something?
That's what we hear. We all thought it was a sphere before. That's what we're questioning. We're questioning the sphere, man.
I was just going to say, yeah, that's the reason we're here, man.
Look, even if it is a really, really big sphere, you would see it.
You've heard the housekeeping questions, right? High. You've heard the housekeeping questions. We ask daily for evidence of curvature. Now, if there was some, we'd put it up. We'd present it. You know, feel free to present it yourself. If you can find us evidence of curvature, we will be all ears.
So how can you say you're 100% certain if you're willing to hear the opposing view? Doesn't that mean that you can consider yourself to be wrong?
Well, we haven't seen any curvature yet. That's why.
Right. Unfortunately, we're in a debate, so yes, it may appear to be a dogmatic stance. However, given the fact that 3.5 years after discovering this information, there is yet to be any evidence, and the only evidence that exists is fallacious. It's based on logical fallacy. So that's what I'm left with. I'm left with the obvious and observable nature of what I can see and what is presented to me daily on this panel, which is the obvious fact that it's flat, versus the logical fallacy asserted that we can assume we're on a sphere and then make mathematical extrapolations from there, excluding perspective. So I'm left with what choice do I have? What else is there? You know, it is flat because it is. It looks flat. And even the globe heads like Neil deGrasse Tyson will say, well, yeah, it appears to be flat. Well, if there's no evidence of curve, I can't see it being a ball, nobody's presenting any evidence of it being a sphere, why would I ever draw the logical conclusion that I'm on a sphere or leave that open to a possibility? It's akin to me saying, well, have you left enough open-mindedness in your head to concede that the globe isn't real and in fact is a giant ferret? Now, have you got the open-mindedness to concede that it could be a ferret? Well, you'd go, well, nobody's ever showing me any evidence that we live on a giant ferret, let's face it. And I go, yeah, but have you got the open-minded nature to believe that it could be a ferret? If I was to come up with some logical fallacies to prove that it is and assert them for a couple of 100 years, well, then you might believe you're on a ferret, but it doesn't make it so.
There are 4 key points right here. One is logical fallacies, like begging the question. Then you will know it's a sphere. Number 2 is a bendy bridge. Number 3 is obstruction. All obstruction is curvature. That's for a sphere. And then the last one will be appeal to authority. That's what the spherical Earth has, those 4 points.
Flat Earth is the same thing. You're basing your logic and reason on all those things.
Really?
Yeah.
Isle of Man, P.
Yeah,
Isle of
you're a
Man.
hypocrite.
Oh,
Everything
talk
you're
over me?
accusing the globe of doing.
So look, start giving an example where P is 100% incorrect, and he immediately starts calling me a hypocrite before I've even got the example past my lips. So I see a ball in front of me, my daughter's ball. There it is. I see it, and I go ball. Then I see a boat in the distance, about a mile away, and go boat in the distance. Then I see the Isle of Man behind that boat at a significantly greater distance, and I say Isle of Man. P, you've got a religious belief in a model that says that it's not there, it's blocked by Earth curve, the arbitrary point where the sky appears to meet the land. That apparently is the leading edge of a sphere that you presuppose. And according to a mathematical equation, the island's not really there. It's blocked by that Earth curve. The boat's still there, the ball that's in front of me is still there. Don't need any explanation for those because they're close enough. But if it's too far, it needs explanation because of your belief. Me, I just see it and go Isle of Man. So to just fly in your face that I don't need to presuppose anything, I just open my eyes, look at it, and see it.
That's not true, though. Hold on, because you have to create an ad hoc hypothesis of all the things you see.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this live debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then smash the dislike button, but then smash it again. If you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!